Previously on Patrick Explains.
What's with the camera?
Now I am going to take this footage and put it online.
Ever since that video you recorded took off, you haven't even answered our calls. I liked him better when he was living in the barn.
So, who are you again?
I'm Patrick's publicist. His tube filter photo shoot ran over. He'll be here any minute.
Patrick has a publicist?
Yeah, of course he does. He's not a fucking caveman. Oh, okay, he's here now. You have 15 minutes with him, so keep the sentimentality brief.
What? I thought he was staying until tomorrow.
Christ, these tube filter people.
Patrick, remember, we have to leave in 15.
Okay, I got it. Hey guys, so excited to be back. Almost as excited as I am about Vid Blaster, the only energy drink to grab when you need that extra boost to grind out that sweet, sweet content. Anyway, so you guys hear they're making a new Ghostbusters movie? Yeah, another one. And this one isn't a sequel to the last one, it's a sequel to the ones before that. Look, these movies are fine, but none of them have come close to the original. That mixture of comedy and big VFX-driven blockbuster seems impossible to reproduce. Except that it isn't. It happened. One other time. Somehow, a movie managed to simultaneously be a great comedy and a great action blockbuster filled with elaborate special effects. It even had its own hit song. I'm talking about Men in Black, the original. People keep forgetting that it's one of the best, most perfect blockbusters of the past 25 years, and today, we're gonna talk about why. Men in Black is technically the first great Marvel Comics movie. Did I just blow your mind? Or maybe you already knew that. Shut up. Anyway, it's based on a fairly obscure comic that was actually published by Malibu Comics, which was bought by Marvel. But anyway, the movie is a very loose adaptation of the comic. What's more important than the source material is the team of people who made this movie. First up, it's written by Ed Solomon, the same guy who wrote the Bill and Ted movies, a master of combining comedy with high-concept sci-fi. You ever wonder why the Men in Black sequels aren't as good as this one? Because Ed Solomon didn't write them. Then you've got Barry Sonnenfeld directing. This is the guy who started as the Coen brothers cinematographer, helping to develop their visual style. Then he jumped to directing and had this insane run of the two Addams Family movies, Get Shorty, culminating with Men in Black. And then after that, his movies weren't as good anymore. They snagged a bunch of Tim Burton's crew. Danny Elfman, production designer Bo Welch, got goddamn makeup genius Rick Baker to make the aliens, and then finally, yeah, Stevie Spielbergo, the bearded one himself, producing. The genius of Men in Black is that for all its complex world building and big sci-fi ideas and apocalyptic threats, it's basically a classic buddy cop movie. You've got the veteran and the rookie on his first day. They hunt for clues, question witnesses, interrogate informants, and solve the case. It's just that the clues are miniature galaxies, witnesses are dying aliens inside robotic human suits, informants are alien pugs, and the case involves a 20-foot-tall talking cockroach. It's a format we know and love, draped in weird, slimy alien goo. And this works so well because it has one of the all-time great buddy cop duos, up there with Lethal Weapon, 48 Hours, and Hot Fuzz. As the poster said, it's Mr. Jones and Mr. Smith. Kind of like Benjamin Button, Tommy Lee Jones was born a 60-year-old man, but unlike Benjamin Button, he never got any younger, and he just stayed 60 years old forever. He's the greatest stern but likable authority figure actor in film history. When you need a guy to chase Harrison Ford but still be sympathetic because he's so damn good at his job, you get Tommy Lee Jones. When you need a guy to begrudgingly mentor Captain America, you get Tommy Lee Jones. When you need a retired Texas sheriff to tell the story of a dream about him and his father traveling through a snowy mountain pass, you get Tommy Lee Jones. And when you need a no-nonsense black-suited agent to fight aliens and listen to Elvis, all without any sense of humor that he's aware of, you get Tommy Lee Jones. It's the part he was born to play, baby. And then there's Will Smith, Big Willie style himself, a man who has caused me so much frustration in the past decade. And he's now a YouTube star? Sure. Will Smith frustrates me because he's so great.
You chose me. so you recognize the skills.
He's one of the most effortlessly charismatic movie stars of all time. When I was a kid, he was the coolest person alive. He can act, he can rap, he ushered into Willems, and yet for years now he's been making movies like Bright and Suicide Squad and Collateral Beauty and Winter's Tale and After Earth, and you get the idea. And then you go back and watch Men in Black and remember how he used to make good movies and was a really exciting actor at one point. Everything he does in this movie is iconic. He drags a table across a room, iconic. He puts on sunglasses, iconic. He says that NYPD means he'll knock your punk ass down, iconic. And together with Jones, they're the best of the best of the best, sir. But as great as Jones and Smith are, theirs are not the best performances in this movie, because Men in Black happens to feature the two greatest performances in film history. Right now you're probably trying to remember if Daniel Day-Lewis is actually in this movie, but no, you fools. It should be obvious. I'm talking about Vincent D'Onofrio as Edgar and Siobhan Fallon as Beatrice. For most of the movie, D'Onofrio is playing a giant cockroach crammed into the skin of a farmer, and with every move he makes, every step he takes, and every word he utters, you believe this is a thing that does not fit in that body. It's not just one of the great villain performances, it's one of the weirdest. He is disgusting, and yet I want to watch 20 movies about him. The way he says sugar has been lodged in my brain for 22 years.
Give me sugar.
He literally changed the way I think about the word
sugar.
And Siobhan Fallon is only in 2 scenes, and yet steals the entire movie. If there was any justice in the world, she would have won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar just for the way she says the name Edgar. It is one of the strongest acting choices made by any performer that decade, and in honor of it, here is a supercut that I made.
What the heck is it, Edgar?
Edgar, what on earth was that?
Edgar, your skin is hanging off your bones.
I know Edgar, and that wasn't Edgar. It's like something was wearing Edgar. An Edgar suit.
And of course, shout out to makeup genius Rick Baker for making D'Onofrio look like the grossest person alive, and for making this thing happen. Man, thinking about that sugar water makes me hungry. For a delicious bowl of Patios, the only cereal with my face on the box, part of this complete breakfast. One of the most impressive things about Men in Black is what it doesn't do. Did you ever realize how wild it is that we never learn anything about Will Smith's personal life? We never see his home, we never hear about his family. He doesn't even have a love interest. There are no prophecies. Will Smith isn't a chosen one, he's not special. He's just an ordinary guy with some wild outfits who's good at his job. He and Tommy Lee Jones don't have some forced conflict between themselves that they need to resolve. And even though they're saving the Earth from destruction, this is just an ordinary day for them. It's not trying to be important or really grandiose and epic. It doesn't try to set up a sequel or establish a dark universe. This movie is exactly 90 minutes long, plus 7 minutes of credits. It is half the length of Avengers Endgame. Like, you could watch this movie twice in the same amount of time it takes to watch Avengers once. That is bonkers. Men in Black is here showing us that not every blockbuster has to be 2.5 hours long. This movie doesn't need to be long because it's so efficient. The very first line foreshadows the main conflict of the movie.
Goddamn bugs.
Zed, we have a bug.
Kay casually reveals his backstory in one line when he's explaining the origins of the Men in Black.
The one dumb kid who got lost on the wrong back road.
Look, this is not an art film, it's not reinventing the medium, but it's good fucking storytelling. These are some goddamn pros working at the top of their game. Guys, I miss Barry Sonnenfeld, and by that, I miss 90s Barry Sonnenfeld. This was the guy who started out defining what Coen Brothers movies looked like. He shot Raising Arizona, and then he started directing and was just dropping classic after classic. Men in Black has such beautiful, clear visual storytelling. Sonnenfeld carried over his wide-angle lenses from the Coens with the dramatic push-ins and exaggerated close-ups, but then he adds these Spielberg-style oneers where he'll move through multiple rooms in one shot and you won't even notice. This movie is perfect. It's perfect. No one could have made this as well as Sonnenfeld did. And then after Men in Black, I don't know what happened. Did Wild Wild West just break him? Barry, come back. Until recently, I hadn't seen Men in Black since before I moved to New York City. And watching it now, it feels completely different. Now I realize that this is one of the very best movies about New York, baby. I'm sorry. Seriously. For a movie about wacky aliens starring the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it captures the experience of living in New York like few others. Like, you've got Mean Streets, The Warriors, Do the Right Thing, maybe Frances Ha, and Men in Black. Hear me out. See, this entire movie is about how in New York you're surrounded by weirdos and crazy stuff all the time, but no one gives a shit and we all ignore it. Maybe there's a homeless person shitting in a paper bag or someone on the subway talking to a puppet, but we've all learned to put our headphones in, keep our heads down, and tune it out. In Men in Black, the city is full of aliens, but no one notices. And obviously, New York has always been a city known for its immigrant population, and here, the Men in Black headquarters is basically Ellis Island for extraterrestrials. It's Extraterrestrialis Island. I mean, it's located in Battery Park. You can see the Statue of Liberty from the front door. Everyone who's spent time in New York knows that driving around it sucks, and that trying to get through one of the tunnels at rush hour is hell on earth. Men in Black is the ultimate fantasy, about being able to get through the Queens Midtown Tunnel in mere seconds. And most importantly, the ultimate villain of the movie is the true enemy of every New Yorker: cockroaches. This is a film about triumphing over roaches, about blasting them apart with a giant laser gun. It's what we all dream of.
Roaches check in. They don't check out.
And finally, in the end, it captures one of the important truths of New York. That for many people, eventually, they get tired of the stress and insanity of the city. They miss being able to see the stars at night. Finally, for them, it's time to get out of there. Not me, I'm not going anywhere, but it does happen to a lot of people. So yeah, it gets so many experiences of New York right that I'll forgive that chase scene for jumping from Grand Central to the Guggenheim 40 blocks north. See, you could say that New York is another character in this movie. It's time to talk about fashion. This segment is brought to you by Willems Wear, my brand new clothing line, where everything is covered in horizontal stripes. Please don't say it's like Beetlejuice, because any idiot knows that he wears vertical stripes. Big difference. Remember, if it's a Willems, then you gotta wear 'ems. Here, I brought shirts for you guys.
Hey, free shirts!
Can't we just have a conversation?
We don't talk enough about the clothing that Will Smith wears in this movie. Like, in the scene where he chases knockoff Seth Green, he has this football jersey paired with orange coveralls as pants, or this ensemble straight out of a Hype Williams video, and then there's this one. He's got great color coordination going on, a huge logo right on the crotch, and he smartly tucks the pants into the insane shoes he's wearing. The 90s were a hell of a time. Remember, this was the Nickelodeon era, when the sliming craze was sweeping the nation, and this movie fucking delivered on the sliming. But my favorite fashion choice in the movie comes in the final scene. Here, Men in Black invents the trope of the former rookie showing that he's now an experienced pro by upgrading to a new outfit, which has a collar but no tie. This would return 2 years later in The Matrix. See Keanu there? New collared shirt, no tie in sight. Which brings me to my next point. Men in Black and The Matrix are basically the same movie. They're both about ordinary people who learn about a hidden world within the one they thought they knew, and they leave their old life behind. They're recruited into a secret organization by a wise mentor of a different race. They start wearing black, they change their name, and team up with a woman who has short, dark hair and a cool, kind of icy demeanor.
Dodge this.
Interesting job you guys have.
At the very end of the movie, the camera zooms straight up out of the city they're in, plus they both riff on the classic idea of black-suited government agents and... Okay, this is kind of where my argument falls apart, but Will Smith did almost play Neo in The Matrix. So let's talk about Linda Fiorentino. Watching Men in Black again recently, one big thought kept coming to me. We failed Linda Fiorentino. I mean, I was 9 years old when this movie came out, so I don't think I deserve much blame, but Hollywood definitely failed her. She was being awesome in movies since back in the mid-80s. Like, watch the super underrated Scorsese movie After Hours for a great performance by her. But Men in Black was where she really popped. She's not the love interest, she's just this great supporting character with such a distinct vibe. She's a weirdo who works in a morgue and talks to dead bodies, but who you also kinda wanna party with. And at the end of the movie, she's an agent and looks fucking rad in that suit, and I'm like, hell yeah. She's gonna be one of the main characters in the next one, and instead she is totally gone from the sequels and her career basically ends after Dogma, and that sucks. Linda Fiorentino ruled, and the fact that she did not become a huge star after this is a crime. And speaking of morgues, if you or your family is having a funeral, be sure to consider Patrick's bereavement boxes. These hardwood caskets come with a plush interior covered in my trademark horizontal stripes, complete with a screen inside playing a constant loop of Patrick Explains videos, so your loved ones can rest peacefully as I explain the Fast and Furious movies to them for years on end.
This is in poor taste.
Are we gonna get a cut of that?
And because I know all you kids at home are dying to know, here are my top 5 aliens in Men in Black. Number 5, the little guy. Number 4, the worms. Number 3, Mikey, which brings up a really important point. In the music video for Will Smith's titular song, Mikey appears dancing with Smith and the MIB dancers. But in the film, Mikey dies before Jay joins the Men in Black. Is this supposed to be canon? Is that Mikey or just another member of his species? Honestly, I think this is a pretty major oversight on the part of Smith and director Robert Caruso. Plot hole. Number 2, Jeeves. And number 1, the grouchy guy. He's just so gross. He's this amorphous blob, and I want to know how he's grouchy. He doesn't even have a face. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. There's a new Men in Black coming out this summer. Am I excited? Not really. I love Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, especially when they're together. I'll definitely see it, but here's the thing. Barry Sonnenfeld is not directing. F. Gary Gray is. He's made some solid movies, but the last time he made a sequel to one of Sonnenfeld's films, we went from Get Shorty to Be Cool. And like Ghostbusters, I think Men in Black might be a movie where they caught lightning in a bottle, and it can never quite be replicated. I love that world, but I have yet to be convinced that we need to return to it. Although I will say, the cartoon show was pretty cool. Or at least it was when I was 11.
Patrick, we gotta go.
Okay, sorry guys, I've got to run. I'm a guest on Logan Paul's podcast. My publicist will be in touch about coordinating my next visit, and I'll just leave you with the words of Mr. Smith: walk in shadow, move in silence, guard against extraterrestrial violence. Enjoy the shirts!
I think the success is going to his head.
I'm really concerned about him.
But you know what I'm not concerned about? The durability and craftsmanship of Hank's hammers.
Hank, I told you I'm not comfortable with this.
Hank's Hammers, the most trusted hammer for all your woodworking needs. It's good! The durability and craftsmanship of Hank's Hammers.
Hank, I told you I'm not comfortable with this. I can't do it. I'm sorry, it's too funny.
We'll get it, come on.
We'll get it, okay. Serious
Okay,
face.
and also... Okay, I'm taking off the sunglasses, so this is back to normal me now. So, Men in Black. It's a movie full of really cool, creative visual effects, and they weren't all just done with super expensive CGI. If you are a filmmaker, and you want to learn more about creating your own weird, surreal effects, then you should check out Paul Trillo's course on Skillshare called DIY Green Screen for Film, Creating Surreal Visual Effects. Or maybe you're like, wait a second, I don't even know how to use After Effects yet. Well then, check out Jordy Vandeput's Skillshare class called Learn Adobe After Effects CC 2019 for Beginners. These and 25,000 more classes are available on Skillshare, and the first 500 people that sign up at the link in the description get their first 2 months totally free. That's plenty of time to take a bunch of these classes and become an expert on After Effects or editing or anything else you want. I'm going to check out their classes on logo design, since I had no idea what I was doing when I made the logos for this video, and I want to get better at it. Hello everyone, welcome back, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the long-awaited return of the Patrick Explains series and my parents. And speaking of my parents, there's an important cause that I want to talk to you about. So on the Patreon, which is the place to go if you want to support this channel and help us keep making these videos, we are getting closer to our next goal. When we hit 750 total patrons, doesn't matter how much anyone's donating, to celebrate that, I will take my parents to see Avengers Endgame and make a video about the whole experience and their reactions. Now, my parents have seen, between the two of them, maybe 2 or 3 Marvel movies in like 10 years, so they're not gonna know what's going on or who almost anybody is. And I think that will be really funny, watching them try to figure it out and just seeing how they react. So if you would also like to see that, because it would be a fun time, head over to the Patreon, toss in $1. It doesn't matter how much. You can even cancel it after we hit that goal. I don't care, I just wanna hit the goal. So yeah, go do that. And then also check out our subreddit. Sign up for the Patreon so you can join in the Discord that we have now, and you can get updates on, upcoming videos and fun stuff like that. You should listen to our podcast. New episodes drop every Monday morning. What else am I forgetting? There's the social media links. I don't care. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll be back in a couple weeks. Bye.